Hey everybody, John here again with another quick check-in and answering a couple of people's questions about the awesome artwork courtesy of my good friend Kreg Yingst. Going to talk about that just a little bit and the title of the book, The Ballad of the Lost Dogs of East Nashville. What does all this mean? So Kreg Yingst, who did this great cover, Kreg is a fantastic letterpress woodcut artist. I've known of his work for years. He's done album covers for the Vigilantes of Love and others, and this amazing work. He did a whole series on the Saints and blues artists, and just I've loved his stuff. And last year we ended up speaking at an Outsider Arts conference in East Tennessee, and that was the first time I actually got to sit down and talk to him that I could recall. Turns out our paths actually crossed long ago. He told me that one of his first art showings ever was at the original True Tunes concert venue up by Chicago. There was a painting that he had made that he told me was called Lazarus that I loved so much. I used to talk to that painting. I could relate to it a lot, whole other story. But that was 30 some years ago. I had no idea that that was Kreg Yingst. So anyway, we connected on that. He actually did the artwork for the last two Wayside songs, Not Okay at All and Ghost in the Needle, which was a huge blessing to us. And so then when I got ready to say, okay, I really need a cool cover for this book, to me, the packaging, the visuals on a book are super important. And obviously, being a musical artist, we're always thinking about album covers and stuff. So maybe I think more about book covers than some people do. When I did Jesus, Bread, and Chocolate, I drove the publisher crazy. I think I sent them about 200 ideas, references from vintage record label packages to chocolate bars, all kinds of stuff, because it was really, really important to me that when I was out on the road and I was somewhere and I handed somebody that book, I wanted it to look and feel like what the words inside it were saying. And that was the same thing with this. And so Kreg and I were talking about it when we were together, and then later I sent him some notes about it, and he is super slammed. He basically said, I have time to do one thing for you, and that's about it. So I hope this is cool. And he sent this design. Now, another thing that'll help this make a little bit more sense, for a long time, the title of the book was going to be Back on the Porch, and then the subtitle was going to be The Ballad of the Lost Dogs of East Nashville, until several friends convinced me that that was way too long, and that Back on the Porch in and of itself did not make any sense to people who hadn't yet read the book. When you read the book, you'll understand how much the porch and the gathering and both dogs trying to find their way home and this group of people sitting on the porch having these conversations, how central that was. But until you read the book, it made no sense. But the Ballad of the Lost Dogs of East Nashville, that grabbed everybody's attention. So I listened to their advice, and after a couple of years of it bothering me, I decided to go with that. So the title is just The Ballad of the Lost Dogs of East Nashville. But you'll notice that in Kreg's artwork, he has this cool dog that he's created, and it's on the porch of a house, just like one of the houses in East Nashville. So he's captured that spirit because he was operating under the old title. So that worked out really, really well. So I really appreciate it. And you really need to go to Kreg's website and check out his other work. You can buy prints, you can buy all kinds of stuff from him, and he also travels around and shows his stuff at different art shows, but he's just an incredible gift, and so I'm hugely honored for his work to be gracing the cover. And also my good friend Mark Ludina, who played bass for the Wayside for years, our band, and has done the packaging design for projects by the 77s and the other Lost Dogs, the actual real Lost Dogs. Lots of other Kickstarter projects by him. Mark has done the packaging for that. He's doing the graphic design, the interior stuff, all of the lettering, and he and I have been going back and forth and making sure that when you open it up and read it, it's going to look and feel really, really nice. So maybe going a little overboard, but I think it's worth it. So why the Ballad of the Lost Dogs of East? And why the Lost Dogs? Since it doesn't have to do with the band some of us are familiar with called the Lost Dogs. And I explain it a little bit more in the book, obviously, but back when the tornadoes came through and destroyed East Nashville in the late 90s, I was actually in town that day. I didn't live here yet, but I was in town visiting, and I remember seeing the flyers that people put everywhere with a picture of their dog and the little tear tabs with phone numbers. And it reminded me of how in Chicago, even at True Tunes, we always had flyers, and it was usually bands, bass player looking to form a band, and then there was tear tabs. And those flyers, to me, kind of seemed like maybe the original analog form of social media. It was like, this is what I'm into, call me if you're into that. And but with the lost dogs thing, it was so sad to see how many people's dogs had gone missing, and hopefully a lot of them found their way back home, but we know a lot of them didn't. That becomes a metaphor in a lot of different ways in the story. The people in the story, they're trying to find their way home in one way or another. So that's the reason for the name. And I did go to the musicians, my friends, Terry Taylor, Derry Darty, and Mike Rowe, and make sure that they were cool with me borrowing the name. And then I find a way to kind of honor them in the book as well. So anyway, that's it. And thanks again to Kreg, and thank you for your patience as I promote this. We're getting really, really close to the end here. So hopefully we'll be successful. And I hope you guys love the book. And thank you for your patience and your enthusiasm as well. Peace. Bye-bye.